No, that's really cool. I've never actually thought about architecture and gameplay coming together. Are there any other sort of like outside mediums or design principles that you think really affect games? And
Totally. Well,
yeah.
I think that I'm an anti-disciplinarian, so I don't think that there are such things as disciplines or mediums per se. And I use mediums here, and I know that it's technically not grammatically correct, right? It's supposed to be media because it's from Latin, but I think that mediums really has an emphasis on the idea that the medium as a whole is a construct that we have privileged, that we have accentuated over many years. We say, the medium of film has been this long, and we often say the medium of games is very young and use that as an excuse. Somehow it, allows us to make mistakes. I think that the most interesting pieces of work and art coming in games are really outsider art. People who have been inspired by not games culture. Examples might include Kentucky Route Zero or the work of Merritt Kopis, or what we see in the Twine Revolution in general, right? These sort of pieces end up doing a whole bunch of things that AAA development could never do, that even like one particular form of indie development could never do. And that revolution is something that I always support, because it means cooler experiences, more art, and it also means that everyone can make art. When the barrier to entry is lowered to such a degree that you and I can start making games like we take a photograph, then we've sparked something truly special.
You mentioned inclusivity before. When you make games, do you I understand that there's arguments in both ways. There are people who say, okay, well, this group of gamers might not necessarily have, or people rather, might not have a game developed entirely at them, and I want to tell this story to them and reach out to them, so I'm going to make it for this audience. And there are people who say, no, this game should be for everyone. What school of thought do you think Soccer Bond was in, or your games in general, really?
I think that all games are towards an audience, but that intention falls away when the audience imbibes the product, because everyone gets something else or different out of the game. So a game might be designed for one specific person, but if other people play it, they're going to have their own personal relationship with that thing. So when you say what audiences does the game have when you're building it, it's actually a very marketing-oriented question in some ways, but other ways is also very artistic, because you're saying, who am I really speaking to through this? Am I speaking to, someone might say traditional white straight male gamer audience, in which case you might create something that's been created dozens of times before. I think Anna Anthropy put it best when she said that you get a system that sort of cycles, and you have these same developers growing up to become these same players growing up to become developers who feed the next generation of players the same sort of things. And that's kind of unfortunate. I think that there's room for a lot more expressiveness in games. As for the singular examples, it's not so much that they have a problem with audience or that there's a problem with wanting to include everyone. In fact, I highly, I really like that, but it's also not a problem to have a small niche audience. It's more that when you see that the majority or a vast proportion of games ever created only includes representations of one particular type of people, and that particular type of people are already the people in power, then there's a problem. So I really enjoy it when games start asking questions like, how can we change society for the better, or how can we get people to empathize more with this particular type of plight, or how can we get people thinking about this issue which they never thought about or knew about before. And so a game like Soccer Bond is kind of in this camp, right? Okay, it doesn't talk about political situations, but it certainly is trying to teach something, and it does try to create, in kind, a social good. I believe that games can do a lot to improve people, and my philosophy of game making has always been try to create games that improve the world rather than detract from it. In fact, when people sign up to do Wonderlands, the studio that I run, they have to read through a bunch of clauses, and the last one is simply, we will try to improve the world, or at the very least not blow it up.
This has been the most fascinating interview I think I've had on the show. Wow, thank you so much.
We just do cool things.
Yeah,
you should come join us as well. That's
really?
the other thing. Yeah, so Wonderlands is always looking for people to help out and doing random ideas, and if you have ideas, you should get on board.
I've always got ideas.
Then brilliant.
I'm like a Twine freak, I'm always on Twine. So.
That is brilliant.
Yeah, there we go. All right, cool. So thanks for chatting with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Sorry I didn't stick to the point.
Next week on Worldwide Gaming. WG 101 on Minecraft.
Yes, I love that game. Yeah. I do. I do enjoy that game immensely. Now he's suffering. Ha 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 ha.
That's point.
I love that game.
What's going on?
You should have done Movember. Porno stash.
I don't know what we're doing.